What's up, everybody? Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for another Taking It Back here on 412 Production. Shout out to the Badlands Media fam, and thank you guys out there for syndicating our broadcast today. I'm with Zach Payne, Red Pill 78. How was your 4th of July holiday, man?
I blew a bunch of stuff up, had a pretty good time.
Are you a big firework guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I mean, down in Michigan, or excuse me, I guess up in Michigan, we would always go to like Ohio and Indiana to buy much bigger fireworks because you couldn't get them at a certain size. Until at a certain point, I went to the right store and I was like, I'm looking for fireworks, and he was like, what kind of fireworks? And I was like, well, how big do they come? And he was like, follow me. And he took me into this back room that was not open to the public. And he was like, take your pick. And it was all the stuff that I had been driving for hours down to Indiana to buy in years past. And I was like, give me your business cards so that I can keep it back. And he was like, I'm here every year. Anyways, but yeah, it was great. There's a big fireworks company called Phantom Fireworks that has a shop here in Daytona. And a couple of months ago, they had a buy one, get two free. And so my neighbor and I went in together to buy a bunch of fireworks, and we got 3 times as many fireworks as we could possibly use. And now, hopefully later this summer, we'll do some more.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. I went well, 4th of July is my dad's birthday, so we had a cookout at my parents' house, and got to hang out with friends over there. And then at night, I went up to Mount Washington in Pittsburgh. And if you've never been to Pittsburgh, or if you ever come to Pittsburgh, you got to go up to Mount Washington. It's a beautiful view of the 3 rivers where they converge, the point, the city skyline on 4th of July. They set up fireworks with that as a backdrop, and it's just really, really cool to watch. So I went up there.
Nice.
Had a bunch of friends. One of them has a place up that way. We had a little house party. And then we all walked to the mountain there and watched the fireworks. It was a really cool 4th.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really, really neat. So again, if you ever, any of you guys out there ever in the Pittsburgh area, you got to check out Mount Washington. You can take the incline up. It's a really cool experience. But anyway, it was a good holiday. But lots to talk about since we didn't do the show last week, Zach. Obviously the debate was the Thursday before. We were kind of previewing it and didn't know exactly what to expect. What was your initial reaction? Joe Biden, slowly and decrepitly walks out on the stage, opens his mouth to answer the first question. What immediately popped into your head there, man? Because from the first comment.
So, I mean, first of all, it was just as bad as I thought it was going to be. And Donald Trump behaved in exactly the way that I thought he needed to. So many people had come to me and they were very worried, like Donald Trump's walking into a trap. And, it's always been my contention that Trump knows what he's doing. Okay. So, the boss wants to boss, you let him boss. All right. Mm-hmm. Step out of his way. And so, I knew that they were going to, have those restrictions on the way that the questions were being asked and then the answers were given. I don't think any of it hurt President Trump. And Joe Biden opened his mouth and he sounded like he was on his deathbed. And maybe that surprised me just a little bit, like the weakness that he was projecting. It was incredible. And, just watching the back and forth, I mean, if anything, Biden fell apart quicker than I expected him to. And it seemed like, so likely what I think's going on is that he's, he'll do certain events and it's obvious that he's amped up. He's on amphetamines or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he'll do other events where he's like just flagging. He simply can't seem to get the energy. That's how it seemed here. So, I think that he's kind of run the gamut on the various compounds they can give him and have them work effectively. Right. So I think that
building up a tolerance to the methamphetamines is what you're telling me.
That's it. Exactly. And Joe's not going to pull a Hunter and start smoking gravy boats in the back of the auditorium or anything like that. So
I've tried Parmesan cheese. I've heard smoking Parmesan cheese.
It's a family favorite in the Biden household. Yes. But it's just, he was awful and it was incredible. And I what I was really surprised about was how fair the CNN commentators were in the way that they asked the questions. They asked a couple of ones that I felt were pretty obvious. I mean, will you accept the results of the 2024 election? Or, do you feel responsible for the events of January 6th? Like, get the fuck out of here. Donald Trump just like handled it, steamrolled him, went right past it. He spoke to the issues. He pointed out what was wrong with Joe and Joe's administration. He got a couple of zingers in when he needed to, when he was like, I really don't even know what he just said, right?
But don't worry, he doesn't either.
Yes, yes. And I thought it was great that it was Biden who was trying to talk over Trump. Trump just like, hey, stand back, let him do it. People were annoyed about the golf stuff, but Joe brought the golf stuff up. Okay. You're going to tell Trump he doesn't know how to play golf, or you got some ridiculous handicap. He's not going to let that fly.
I thought that was my favorite part of the debate was, it was incredibly tone deaf. You have like major crises all over the country, inflation out of control, people struggling to put food on the table, and here's two rich guys arguing about their golf handicap at a presidential debate. It wasn't either one of their finest moments, to be honest. But as a golfer, I enjoyed the hell out of that. I thought that was so funny. And then you had Trump just recently challenging him to 18 holes. He offered to give him 20 strokes, which is a massive amount. And Joe Biden's response was, "I'm too busy." Zach, this guy
got a lot of sleeping to do.
Yeah, well, how much time has he spent in his Delaware beach house?
Roughly 45% of his administration.
But he's too busy for a 3.5 hour round of golf with Donald Trump. Could you imagine like the spectacle that would be if it was televised? It'd be one of the most watched sporting events you've ever seen.
And $1 million for charity. Come on. I don't golf, okay? But if like Trump is like, hey, if I beat you, I'll give $1 million to charity. Take me on. Let's go for it.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
Yeah, it's incredible, absolutely incredible that the excuse was, "I'm too busy leading the country." Like, what an absolute joke.
Yeah.
Going back to the debate though, on the Thursday, taking it back, I asked if these rules would ultimately ended up benefiting Donald Trump, if they were going to kind of work to his favor. You mentioned how fair CNN was. I don't think they had much of a choice, but to be fair, they're the ones that set up the rules that kind of made it in a way that they couldn't interfere with the way the thing was set up. And then you saw the media reaction afterwards. You know what I mean?
Chef's kiss.
Was Joe Biden the one that was set up? Because that's kind of what I think is they set up these rules in a way where Donald Trump couldn't get in Joe Biden's way to destroy himself. And then afterwards, they were ready. It was full on attack Joe Biden from the moment that thing ended. It almost feels like he was the one that was set up. I almost wonder if the drug concoction was maybe made a little bit weaker than normal beforehand, or if they didn't give it to him, or if they sent him out there in a bad state on purpose to have him fail, right?
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible. It's clear that every single journalist was more than aware of Joe Biden's mental and physical decline. This is not something that they just discovered the night of the debate. There's a reason that they scheduled this debate. This is the earliest debate in history. There's a reason they put it so early in the season. I think you're right. I think that they were hoping that, Joe Biden would see the outcry, because the man is a narcissist. His identity is being in power, okay, being in elected government. If he doesn't have that, he's got nothing else, and he's not worth anything. So they thought, likely we can go ahead and convince him to drop out as a result of his poor performance, and then we'll go ahead and just slip another one past the goalie. But for them, that's just simply not going to be an opportunity that they're going to be able to take advantage of now, because Joe Biden is obviously not stepping down. And either they 25th Amendment him and put in another candidate, or they're going to have to do something a lot more drastic so that another candidate will be forced to step forward. But I don't think that they really took into account how much the will of the American people was going to come into play. People want Donald Trump back, and they understand that Joe Biden's agenda is the radical left's agenda. It's not mutually exclusive. The entirety of the Democrat faction within Congress and then the leadership outside of elected office and then even at the state and local level, they're all on board. They've all been on board with this particular agenda for a very long time. And so when you posit to the American voter, if it's not Joe Biden, then what about Kamala Harris? What about Gretchen Whitmer? What about Gavin Newsom? What about Pete Buttigieg? Every single person polls lower than Donald Trump. Every single person polls lower than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is more popular simply by virtue of the fact that he's already president and he has the name recognition. That's the only thing he's got going for him. People look at all these other Democrats and they are less likable than Joe Biden. The only thing that Joe Biden has going for him is what Robert Hur said, that, likely he's a well-meaning, elderly, old man who doesn't know where he is half the time. I mean, like, that's basically the best thing he has going for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're completely out of options, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're completely out of options. And they have this whole issue of the giant war chest, right?
Yes.
That they've built up. Like, they can't just parlay that into a new candidate. They would essentially have to start their fundraising over.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, then you've also got the issue of timing in regards to names being on ballots. In a number of states, it's impossible for them at this juncture to get somebody else on the ballot unless there's a death. And in at least one state, even if there is a death, I believe there's like another week or something like that. And then the original name will still be on the ballot and no votes will be counted for that original candidate. No electoral votes would be given. I mean, they've painted themselves into a corner where they have taken a significant block of electoral votes off the table if they don't run Joe Biden.
so what's their ends then? Like, they've painted themselves into a corner, yet the media is attacking. You see Obama kind of working behind the scenes to supplant, Joe Biden with somebody else. Like, how are they going to wiggle off of the hook here if that's the case? Like, there seems to be somebody, or they're giving the permission to attack Joe through the media and whatnot, and pressure him to step down. If there's all these different roadblocks and issues, like, no one else is even viable, to what ends? Like, you would think they'd be running more cover for Joe Biden than anything else.
Stealing the election again, legitimizing those tens of millions of illegals that they've let into the country. I mean, the Republicans just passed the SAVE Act. I don't think it's likely that it's going to get through the Senate. I mean, maybe it will with Sinema and Manchin, but even if it does, Joe Biden's already said he's going to veto it. And so then they have to rationalize to the American people why it's so important that illegals have the opportunity to vote. I mean, I think it was when they were voting on it, Hakeem Jeffries was like doing his pundit thing from the stand. And he basically said that, yes, this bill will like explicitly state that, illegals can't vote, like you're going to have to show ID, but by asking to show ID and prove that you're an American citizen, it will stop American citizens from being able to vote. I mean, it's a ridiculous argument. It doesn't make any sense. It's a lot of cope, but this forces them to make a case for not stopping illegals from voting. And, I mean, it's a bold move, but it shows the American people exactly where they stand.
Yeah, let's go down that path. I do want to come back to this whole thing with Joe Biden and his mental cognitive nonsense, but let's go down that road for a minute. Let's say they were to pass it, and let's say even Joe Biden was to sign it. How do you logistically get anything in place in time for 2024? Because we were talking about this yesterday. Like, how do you prove citizenship, and how, like, it seems like too close to this election to have any real impact. Then you also have the constitutional aspect of this is states are in charge of their own elections. So anything passed by the federal government really is unconstitutional when it comes to state and like these elections in the states. Like, I feel like,
well,
yeah.
This is a federal election going to be administered by states, but you just have to bring a birth certificate or a passport. anybody who's a citizen has a birth certificate or they have a passport, or if you are naturalized, then you're going to have that paperwork stating that you're an American citizen. So you just show that at the time to be able to vote. And, I mean, I think there's more people than not who have that proof of citizenship. And yeah, yeah, that's the only thing. It has to be that way.
Yeah, I feel like this is more for beyond this particular election. I
Maybe.
I feel like it's too close, and I think it's also a political stunt, right? Not stunt, that's not the right word, but they want people to put their names next to what their beliefs are as far as whether or not non-citizens should be able to vote, because
Hmm.
there's a very obvious like voter replacement agenda happening with the open border and trying to bring these people in. Like it's very obvious, and I
Yeah.
think a big part of this is exposing it. I mean, Donald Trump had an interesting um, truth post about this. I could try to find it, but he basically said pass it or go home and cry, and talked about how this is the only way. Here, let me see. No, that's not the one. Where did it go? I don't know if I'll be able to find it quick enough. But point is he basically was saying like this needs to be passed or we're screwed. It almost felt like he was pulling the fire alarm on voter fraud, election integrity on the post. Um, what do you think the overall strategy is for 2024? Is it just too big to rig? Just get as many votes in there as possible, overwhelm the system, and try to mitigate as much as possible, with the new RNC leadership? Is there something more going on behind the scenes to prevent another election steal? What's your read on the whole election integrity issue right now?
I mean, I think it's got to be a combination of all of that. I mean, definitely the RNC is working. They're getting people trained. They're having lawyers on site in swing states, places where there was issues with fraud last time. So that will mitigate in a sense. Also, Donald Trump's too big to rig. Certainly, we've got to get as many people making sure that they actually vote as possible. But, certainly, I think that there's also got to be stuff happening behind the scenes, people paying attention to ensure that if there are obvious signs of fraud that we can witness, that it will be recorded and then passed on. But also beyond that, I think that Republicans in Congress, and the true Republicans, and there are more of them, I think, than uniparty, but even the ones that are sort of compromised, they understand that America hangs in the balance at this point. I mean, like there will be no power sharing agreement going forward if the Democrats are completely allowed to capture this nation in its entirety. So I think that there has to be some sort of accountability, and they have to ensure that Donald Trump is allowed to return. Now, I think that if they do try to steal the election, and I think it's very possible that they will, it's going to be clear to the American people that that result is not organic. You've already got a majority of the country who think 2020 wasn't organic. It took them some time. But now going into the 2024 election, people are already going to have that at the front of their minds. And then you've also got those people in Congress that I mentioned who are going to be responsible for the certification of the vote. If they get handed another victory for Joe Biden at 85 million votes this time or whatever, I don't think that they're going to accept it, and it's going to be an automatic cause for a deep dive investigation before they will certify anything. And then perhaps it goes back to the Supreme Court again, like it did between Bush v. Gore. Yeah, I mean, it has to be coming from a number of different directions, because even the fraud itself is not just one thing. It's always death by a thousand cuts. If we're not fighting back in the exact same way, then it's naive.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's got to be a multi-pronged approach. You're not ever going to eliminate all the frauds. You mitigate what you can. You get as many votes in the system as you can for your guy, and hope that between all those different efforts, you're able to get into a position where you can actually make real systematic change to bolster elections in the future, election security in the future. So I think that this is the perfect storm, the perfect election to do that with. Joe Biden falling apart, the Democrats with seemingly nowhere to run, Donald Trump making major inroads with different demographics that he normally would not do very well with. I think he's polling over with the with black people right now, which is and
Close
it's
to getting close to 30 now.
is it really? I haven't
Yeah, it
seen the
was
poll. When did you
yeah.
see that? Because I haven't seen the
A
poll. Oh,
couple of days ago, I want to say it was like 26%.
20 they say 25% is critical mass for that. Like if
Yeah,
a Republican get 25% of the black community, they're screwed at that point. The Democrats are. I mean,
yeah.
he's almost at 50-50 with Latinos, which is something that he struggled with in previous elections. So people are waking up and really seeing it. There was a video of the Daily Show um, where they had like six black people there, and they were asking them who they were going to vote for, and three of them said Trump, and you could just see the shock on the host's face, like they did not see that coming. So it's really fun to watch as again these like paradigms that we shatter and shift beneath our feet in real time. Going back to like the debate and Biden and the media, could you remember another example of the meat? Like to me, it was so interesting to watch. Pretty much leading up to the minute of the debate starting, they're telling us everything you're seeing as far as Biden being, having a cognitive decline. It's cheap fakes and it's not real, and it's just right wing conspiracy, misinformation, and they're throwing all the normal shit out there that you would typically hear. The debate happens, and then all of a sudden, the media acts like they're victims almost. Like, how could the administration hide this from us? This is crazy. They're putting blame on the administration for not being more upfront and forward with the condition of Joe Biden, as if we all couldn't see it, Zach. Even going back to 2019 when he first started, making his move towards running for president. It's so disingenuous, and I feel like I can't think of another example to where they've had to turn on a dime the way that they have. They've changed their opinion in a complete 180 on the same day. Within an hour and a half, they went from this is all fake to oh my god, we were duped. Like this is like, can you think of another example that they were just caught with their pants down so badly?
No, except for maybe that video of CNN pretending that they were standing on a roof in Iraq with Scud missiles like flying over there, and it's a green screen. That to me was like the most delicious aspect of it because it was such a turnaround, and it's like I said earlier, that doesn't happen overnight. And if they're telling us that wow, they just figured this out, nobody believes it. Everybody sees the media with their pants down, and they know even more than they knew before that yeah, okay, they are all liars. And then you take a look at the White House press corps, how quickly they turned on the White House, and you're telling me those people don't know they're like flying on Air Force One with Joe Biden and they don't know? Give me a break, man. Absolutely not. All right, so I just found some information here. 4 in 10, 40% of Hispanic voters see Trump positively. And black voters, it's 3 in 10. So 30%. Now, this is coming from Axios. So take it with a grain of salt. I think that those numbers are even higher. And they posit the article by saying, Trump wildly unpopular with blacks and Hispanics. Okay, you got 30 and 40% of each, respectively, that are like, yeah, I fuck with Trump. and so they've got to spin it negatively. I think it's even better.
Well, they spin it negatively, but they're leaving out the context of okay, what'd that look like in 2020? What were those numbers then? Are they great numbers? Out of context, no, that sounds pretty bad.
So,
But
so with Hispanics, that's up. That's up from 3 in 10 in January of 2021. But they say with blacks, he's down from 5 in 10 in 2021.
there's
That
no way.
I know.
Because every other poll I've seen, Trump was at like 8% max
Yeah. Yeah.
back then with black people, which, yeah, I don't know. Axios is awful.
So here in another poll, let's see. They're saying Trump and Biden are tied. This is from Pew. Yes. Yeah. All they say is Biden is more positive with blacks. They don't actually give a number, but that Biden and Trump are tied among Hispanics. And I think that more Hispanics are more favorable to Trump, because what Joe Biden is doing with the illegal alien invasion, I mean, it's a direct affront to every modern immigrant that came here in the lawful way and made their way into this country, integrated, developed a family, a career, a life, maybe even went to college. And all those other people who are coming here are getting free rent. They're getting, all kinds of assistance. In California, Adel, they're giving them 20% down to buy a house. If you're an illegal and you come to California, they'll give you 20% down on the home of your choice. You also get free college tuition. And if you're trans, they're going to pay for the surgeries.
That's insanity.
Yes. Yes, it is.
20% down to buy a house.
Mm-hmm. They don't even do that for citizens or veterans.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're literally rewarding people for breaking the law.
Yep.
Like you come over here illegally, you cut the line, and you get 20% down to buy a house. That's, man. And here I am saving my money up like an idiot.
Exactly. Exactly. And I saw a guy in New York City. He was going around and he was finding all of these covert migrant, like, I don't know, living centers, basically. And what they would do is they would put them into certain neighborhoods where they have like a building that perhaps a developer abandoned. Maybe it wasn't quite fit to rent to an American, but they make it just nice enough so that they can just keep people in there. They won't let them cook and stuff like that. But they're buying them furniture and they're giving them debit cards and bridge cards and stuff like that. And the residents of these neighborhoods, it's funny because in the white neighborhoods, the white liberals are like, oh, yeah, there's no problems. It's just families moving in. And then in the black neighborhoods or the Hispanic neighborhoods, they're like, what the hell's going on? It's like they don't give a shit. Why are they putting these people up? Why is this apartment building not available for us and our families to rent? It's a very, very different sentiment. Am I locked up? Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. For whatever reason, my laptop lost connection for like 30 seconds there.
Okay.
The connection is unstable, so we'll see.
So what did you hear? What did you hear?
I heard everything you said, but yeah, you were coming through, but I was frozen on the screen. Like you were frozen, but your audio was still coming through. So
okay, good.
Yeah. So no, and that's the kind of stuff like I can't remember where it was, but I saw somebody talking about that on somewhere online. It was on some podcast, or radio show. It was I can't remember his name, but it was a black guy on this radio show talking about how the administration is basically replacing the Black and Latino communities with illegals, and it's again, they've always pandered to these demographics every 4 years leading into these elections. They sit there, they make all these promises, offer the world to them, act like they're heroes for their cause. They get their vote and then they disappear. And now it's worse than just disappearing. They're actively working against their interests.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they're bringing in people that are, lowering the wages, overcrowding their cities, taking resources that were otherwise used to help uplift those communities, and they're leaving these people in the dust, essentially, leaving them to just kind of perish away. It's absolutely disgusting. I think this time around, they're really seeing it more than ever before. I think we're reaching a critical mass of awakening within the Black and Latino communities, or they're realizing that, wait a minute, these Democrats aren't champions the way that they've claimed to be. They are snake oil salesmen.
Yes.
And we need to do something about it.
So the message that the Democrats are sending is, now that you've caught up to our plans and you understand our playbook, we're replacing you with somebody else who simply will not figure it out for another 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. And it's an interesting move because they're illegal aliens, essentially, people that don't have a right to vote. So
yep,
it really shows you how little They care about the Constitution, the legitimacy of our elections. All they care about is power. They don't care where those votes come from. They don't care how they win. As long as they can find a way to maintain power, they do not really care about the well-being of the people they supposedly represent, which, let's be honest, they don't represent anyone but themselves. So, man, all right. Let me we're at the halfway point. So let's take care of, we have 2 sponsors here. Let's do that, and then we'll jump back in with some other topics here. Our first one is River B2C. So River Bitcoin, are you ready to diversify your assets with Bitcoin? Introducing River, the official Bitcoin partner of Badlands Media, where you can navigate the world of Bitcoin with confidence. With River, you could buy Bitcoin like a pro. With the assurance of being licensed and regulated right here in the United States, River ensures your Bitcoin journey is smooth and secure with on-demand live support at your fingertips. River empowers you to grow your portfolio without any unwanted surprises and eliminates third-party custodians, putting you in control of your assets. Open an account with no minimum purchase requirement. You can get your Bitcoin journey started with just $1. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/river to create your River account today. That's badlandsmedia.tv/river. River, shaping the future of finance, one Bitcoin at a time. So there you go. badlandsmedia.tv/river. And then we also have our friends at the Badlands shop. Any plans after the show? How about heading over to Badlands Shop, where you'll find Patriot companies with Patriot values? Put your money where your morals are and shop with peace of mind while supporting your favorite Badlanders. Whether you're shopping for everyday household items or a unique gift for that special someone, skip the big box store. Check out the Badlands Shop and support Patriot businesses and Badlands Media with every purchase. Find unique items for your home and gardens, stock up on food, kids' activities, pet supplies, and even plan your financial future. You'll find just about everything, and we're adding more every day. Thank you for supporting companies that support Badlands. We couldn't do this without you. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/shop today. So, as always, a big thank you to the sponsors of the show. And if you guys are watching on Rumble, especially those of you on Badlands Media, please hit that thumbs up button for us. Share the link out there. If you're on pill.net, please give us a red pill, repost the show, and share that link as well. Jennifer Lynn, thank you for the $20 Rumble rant. So appreciate you guys. We appreciate you, Jennifer. Thank you for the support. That's very kind. And yeah, good stuff. Again, guys, hit that thumbs up, share those links. All right, let's
Hey, I got a question for you.
Okay.
It's local. Did you hear about this guy Gary Miles in Philadelphia?
No.
He nutted on a woman's leg at a Dollar Tree in downtown Philadelphia. It's exactly what it sounds like. He just like walked through the Dollar Tree and like jacked off on this woman's leg, and she chased him out and they caught him. His name is Gary Miles. And he was wearing a shirt that says it's not going to lick itself. It's a real class act. Real class act. Let me send you the tweet.
Yes, please do. This is
somebody sent this to me first thing this morning, and it's gone just like very viral ever since then. I was like, wow, I wonder if this is going to pop up again. Hey, it's Frank.
Hey, fellas, you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
What's up, Frank?
How y'all doing?
Good. Where'd you send that to, Zach?
I'm trying to put it in the for some reason it won't let me put it in the Zoom chat, so I'm going to send it to you on text.
Okay.
There you
Frank,
go.
How was your 4th of July, buddy?
Oh, it was good. It was good. I liked it. It's been really hot and sunny, and I can do a lot more with that than muggy and rainy. So we just, spent a lot of time out. We blew off a lot of fireworks, and it was nice. How about you guys?
Look like you got some sun, Frankie.
Yeah, you get darker every time we see you.
Dude, I told you, I was committed to it. I am, by the end of August, I'm also committed to getting like a standing mirror sized red light, sheet, whatever, red light therapy.
Yeah.
I got to keep it up, man. This is more of a healthcare thing that I've been doing for myself this summer than anything vain. It just feels so damn good.
Yes, it does.
The red light therapy. That's how you keep it going through the winter. I've never heard of that. Is that That's like an alternative, I'm guessing, to like a
Tanning bed.
tanning bed, right?
Yeah, I don't think it tans you, but it's just more so it just
It's healing.
it
There's
heals,
healing properties to it.
it stimulates the melanocytes in your skin, and also vitamin D production. It just keeps all those hormones peaked that really only happen in the summertime naturally.
Okay.
I've got a like a 15 by 15 panel of red lights.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
I'm definitely have to look into that. All right. So here's the story. Here's what Zach just sent me. I've not seen or heard this.
This is as bad as it gets.
All right. Let me wait for this to move out of the way.
I'm just glad they caught him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought it up. But
I see it.
yeah.
Yeah. So Justin, 35-year-old Philadelphia man Gary Miles has been arrested for nutting on a woman at a Dollar Tree store. The update comes after rapper Meek Mill offered $2,000 for information on the suspect after the video of the incident went viral. According to police, Miles voluntarily surrendered on Wednesday evening after the video went viral on X. Nation on the The PPD extends its gratitude to the public for their assistance in locating Mr. Miles. The Philadelphia Police Department said in a statement, "Good job, X." So, Frank, that's actually closer to you than it is to me, even though it's in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is a lot closer to you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so.
I mean, how far is Philly like a drive from where you're at?
Well, if I were to go to Philadelphia for lunch and get myself a Philly cheese, have somebody nut in my Philly cheesesteak, I would. It'd probably be about 2.5 hours.
Okay, yeah. So
I mean, maybe a little bit less. You just go down to Camden and then you jump over the bridge. And but you're 6 hours from me. So
it's a 5-hour drive to Philly from my house. So
okay.
Frank, I got one to send to you too. This is on Long Island. 4 people are dead after an SUV going like 90 miles an hour flew right into a parking lot and straight through the front door of the nail salon. And just, you don't see it from the angle. You see the angle of the car just coming through, not stopping. I don't know anything about the incident. I don't know why it happened, but it was absolutely insane.
Dude, there's is it just because everybody is their own publication these days? Is it because everybody has an ability to get CCTV footage out there, or to capture something that happened to them or somebody else? Or, every time something happens, there's always a crowd of spectators filming, not helping. So is it because of that? Is it inspired because of that? Or it can't have always been this bad? Is it quickening the decay? As I feel like it just, because why isn't there 10,000 cameras being pulled out every day to capture 15,000 random acts of kindness? What the hell is going on?
Well, incidentally, with these 2 incidents, the video that we had of Mr. Miles, that was actually taken by the woman who was assaulted. So she was astute enough to get her own camera out to make sure she got him. And then the video that I sent you of the SUV, that is from a CCTV camera from the scene, like at the strip mall. And it's Long Island. I mean, I don't know how close Long Island is to you.
It's a couple, depending on where it is. It's anywhere from 1 to 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if I were to go to the Sound and skip a boat across the Sound, I can be there in 40 minutes or less. But
okay,
you're going to go down and then cross the bridge and then get into the island. Getting from one end to the other end is a few hours.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's huge. And let me tell you something, Zach. I don't know if you've ever been on Long Island. I don't know, Adel, if you've ever been there either. But if you ever have a chance to explore Long Island, it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you would not believe how much of it is just gorgeous, sprawling farmland, vineyards, everything. Long Island is gorgeous.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's shitty parts of it, but man, it's.
I always picture the concrete jungle. Honestly, when people say Long Island, I always picture like a complete concrete jungle.
Well, there are urbanized areas, but let me tell you, it is. There's a lot of mostly rural, gorgeous spots there.
Wow. Yeah, I would not have guessed that. Frank, what was your overall take of the debate, the media reaction, this whole move to replace Biden, not replace Biden? Like, how do you read this whole situation?
Have we not been together that long?
I mean, there was the week before we were previewing the debate the Thursday before, and then we didn't do last week. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, it was as entertaining as I thought it would be. And, and like we said before there too, the reason why I was watching was not because of substance. I wanted to analyze people from a physiological standpoint.
Yeah.
And we got a lot straight from the get-go, and it never stopped. And it has triggered a cavalcade of just disaster and chaos for
Yes.
side of the. So, but now the real question I have been asking, and I would love to hear what you guys have concluded or at least leaning towards, is on a factional level, what's going on here? Because especially when you get to the subsequent interviews like that, absolute that I don't know, like they put Biden on the rack with George Stephanopoulos. They put him on the rack, man. That was incredible. The follow-up questions were just so, like, if Stephanopoulos went from like one question was, have you been noticing these lapses happening more often, asking about doctors, and Biden again goes through his I'm fine. Well, he finds a way to get through it, and then Stephanopoulos comes back and just says something as bluntly as, are you more frail? It's just like, I think, wow. So my question is, looking at Stephanopoulos and knowing that is he's not a journalist. He's a Clinton guy. So
Press secretary.
Right. So Clinton's versus Obama's. We know that is an ongoing. They hate each other. I wonder, is it factional? I hear a lot about Obama. With the whole George Clooney thing. I heard that Obama was behind the George Clooney thing, calling for Biden to drop out. How much of this is factional? How much of this is just is it all orchestrated? I mean, what the hell is going on? That's my real question, because I don't know. It's really bad. I mean, he's powering down, man.
I can't put. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I mean, I think that this is the quiet part that people have not been saying. Everyone feels this way. I don't think that there is anyone within the Democrat Party, either in leadership or just rank and file in Congress, who looks at Joe Biden and says, now there's a guy I would trust to run the country for another 4 years. Nobody feels that way. Okay. And only because of the debate performance did people feel comfortable coming out and saying something. I think they felt this way for years now. And Joe Biden's a bit of a narcissist and a monster. Okay. He's apparently very difficult to work with. He's not the kind of guy that you come up to and you're like, geez, I can tell that the world's really getting to you. It's difficult being president, isn't it? And you seem to forget a lot of things. He would freak out, I think. And so I think that people have just been sycophants around him. They've just allowed him to kind of operate without any sort of accountability, while at the same time massaging his day and taking on responsibilities, perhaps without him even knowing it, making decisions and just making calls, et cetera, et cetera. So, we were talking before you got here, and I think that one of the reasons that they called the debate as early as they did, because this is the earliest debate in presidential history, I think that the reason they called this debate was so that, either Joe Biden is going to prove to America that, it's safe for him to run, or it's going to give all of those Democrats a reason to tell him that he can't run because they have to get somebody else in there. And I think that it's just completely backfired, because he's not going anywhere. And the reason he's not going anywhere is because as soon as he's not the president, or as soon as he doesn't have the ability to trade quid pro quo exchanges, then he, his family, and even his grandchildren and extended family are then in danger, because they're not useful to anybody anymore. And they know too much dirt. I think that Joe Biden has survived as long as he has because of probably what he knew about whom. Okay. It's a culture of blackmail and subterfuge in Washington, D.C. And I think that Joe Biden is a safer bet for them if he's no longer in the running in any sense. I think that they would want to take him out immediately, and I think he knows it.
Yeah, I've considered that. I actually I didn't consider the whole aspect of whatchamacallit, him being him being held up by all this blackmail and stuff. I didn't consider that. And because I really just do think that they are, whereas they've been in the game for a long time, for anybody to really concentrate on the Bidens is like, if he were to leave and everybody was to continue to pursue Biden in a legal sense or anything like that, would be ridiculous. Only because there's such more bigger fish to fry, and he was a very strange glove that was put on the iron fist right here. The thing that I did wonder was if anybody was going to take a moment and actually ask what I believe is the most obvious question. It's not a matter of Joe Biden. Here's this guy who is challenging an incumbent like he was in 2020, like as if that was a challenge. But it's not as if right now, let's just say, forget about what we saw in 2020. Somebody, not even Donald Trump, somebody is the incumbent president coming up on the end of a term, and Joe Biden is the presumed front runner for the Democrat Party. And he goes to this debate and he has that performance. It's one thing to say, wow, the Democrats are really putting out a weak, infirmed man to try to go up against the incumbent over here. That's bad enough in itself for the party. But this guy's signature is still the most valuable one in the country until January of 2025. I haven't heard anybody talk. I mean, there's been some 25th Amendment stuff going around, but it has not been nearly enough. When you see a guy this out of it, he is the president. He is the president for months still. I mean, that should be the most concerning thing. And it really hasn't been the biggest topic of conversation. What we've gotten is people like Jay Johnson coming out and saying, listen, the president, yeah, he's an old man, whatever, but just think about the team behind him. You're not electing. This is the first time in my life, and I know people have lived a lot longer than me. They've been through a lot more elections than I have, but it's the first time I have ever heard anybody try to prop up a candidate for a debate by saying, listen, forget about the candidate. You're electing the team. Like, what?
It's always been the team. I mean, like, Joe Biden's never really been running the country. Right. I mean, like, he wasn't up to the task in 2020. He wasn't up to the task in 2016 either. I mean, like, everybody knows Joe Biden is a moron, first of all. But I mean, just think about that and think about what I said about blackmail and access. I mean, Joe Biden is also very wealthy. Think about all of the deals that he's made around the world, all these different countries. Think about how many people he has linked up, how many hands he's shaken, how many backroom deals he's gotten done just by virtue of the fact that he's the most popular, or excuse me, the most powerful politician in Delaware. Okay, he was vice president of the United States. When he was working under Obama, he got all the big jobs. Okay, he got a lot of prestige because Obama was giving him the jobs that were like top tier. All right. He wasn't like a vice president that just like hung around in the background waiting for Obama to tell him to have a photo opportunity. So there's a reason that they elevated Joe Biden in that way. When it came to 2020, he was controllable. Okay. They knew that he had Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's, whatever it might be, something neurodegenerative. Obama knew that he could have his third term. He could control him from behind. They could stop Trump. There's some plausible deniability for cheating because Joe Biden's this elder statesman. Everybody knows his name. All right. So they could fake it in a manner of speaking. And they knew the entire time that they could get Joe Biden to do what they wanted him to do. And here we are.
Yeah.
My question is, they're clearly, they seem like they want to replace him, but they don't seem to have a plan for after he's gone. They don't have another candidate. They have this war chest they've accumulated that they can't transfer to another ticket. No one in their party is polling any higher than him. He doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. Yet they're still going after him. I'm still trying to figure out what's the long game here. Like, okay, you get rid of Joe Biden. Now what? Like, who are you putting in his place? And what's none of these people are going to most likely be able to beat Trump. So what are you trying to accomplish at this point? If Joe Biden is still polling higher than everybody, you would think that they would pull the attack dogs off or at this point, or try to change the messaging, try to smooth this over, but they're not doing that. Like they're still every day there's a new elected official, celebrity, new segment where they're completely trashing this guy.
Yeah.
I don't understand the overall strategy. Like there's something that we're missing here, and I can't figure out what it is.
It's the illegals. They're going to legitimize those illegal votes. I think that's the only thing that makes any sense. They cheated in 2020. I think that they're relatively certain they could probably do it again.
With anybody.
Yeah, with anybody. So I mean, and here's the thing. Okay, like the CIA and the intelligence community, they are not averse to putting politicians in the president's resolute desk that did not get elected by the people. I think they promised Kamala that she would be president. I mean, that's the succession, right? You know, you've got president, vice president runs, they become president, best case scenario. But what they didn't expect was that Kamala would never resonate with the American people. Kamala is just so spectacularly unliked, and that's why they haven't just switched to her. They could have done it like right after the debate. If Joe would have stepped aside, then they could have slid Kamala right in there if she could have won. But I think that they looked at her and they were like, you know, I know this is a hard pill to swallow, but people like you less than Joe, so we can't do it. Like, have you guys ever seen Veep on HBO?
A little bit,
yeah.
Never watched it.
Yeah. So, you know, that woman, Selena, I mean, you think about like the power brokering that goes on in a place like the White House. You know, like people are always trying to screw each other, just waiting for their turn to slide in and grab their piece of the pie. And I think that Kamala just thought, I mean, she's got the check boxes. You know, she's a woman of color. She was Attorney General of California. She's from a big state. You know, she's got that laugh and the smile, except it's really annoying. You know, I mean, in a certain world, Kamala Harris might have appealed, but, you know, she doesn't.
No. That world doesn't exist.
Mm-mm. Nope.
What the hell are we going to do? I don't know. It's going to, yeah, I think it's going to be, I'm having a lot of fun. Here's the thing. As long as I understand that there are a lot of things that really are looming right now, and some of it can just be just built up fear. They want just to be free floating anxiety about certain things, but we know for sure the economy is really over leveraged and stressed out. I think that regionally people are living better region to region than as a whole. That with the United States, you can't really lump everybody into one thing. They think GDP doesn't tell really anything about how people are living in the United States. So I understand that some things require nuance, other things are a little bit less nuanced. I mean, what NATO and the United States are trying to do with Russia, what they're really still slow boiling us toward out there, that's pretty dangerous. There's a lot of things that are pretty I don't know, concerning. But other than that, if nothing gets kinetic, I'm having a pretty good time right now. I think things are really exciting. And the best part is that there's less and less work for us to do. I mean, we've already kind of seen where this is going. We kind of know the track record for a lot of the players out there. We understand the basic plot summary. We'll never have all the pieces to the puzzle, but we can speculate and have some fun with that. But as far as like, for example, Joe Biden or whatever, our work is done. We don't have to talk about, hey, listen, we've been analyzing him for years. You got to go, Zach.
Yeah, I got to go. But it was a pleasure seeing you. I'm glad that you made it before we had to end the show. I love you guys. I'm going live. We'll see you. Peace.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Well, like I was saying with that, when it comes to Joe Biden in particular, our work is done. You know, now the liberal media, the legacy media, and Democrat voters, they're the ones having the debate about what should we do about this guy who is not well. You know, for so long, it was just like, he's fine. We're like, no. And then finally,
it was right up to the moment of the debate. It was cheap fake this, and he's fine, and it's right-wing misinformation. I was saying this to Zach, and I've been saying it ever since. I can't think of another example where the media was telling you one thing and had to literally tell you something completely different with a straight face. They come back after the debate, and it's like all this talk about cheap fakes and he's fine turned into we have a serious problem here, as if they didn't already know, Frank.
Right.
Like as if they like with a straight face, like them and a bunch of these politicians. It was amazing to me to see that, and I'm sitting here like it's I always use this analogy from 1984, the chocolate rations, right? They lower them from 10 grams or whatever it is to or from 15 to 10 grams one day, and then the next day they have a news broadcast. They say chocolate rations have been raised from 7 grams to 10 grams, and Winston's looking around at his comrades like, "There's no way. This was just yesterday. There's no way they're going to swallow this." And of course they did. And he was just like,
And that's really what it's all about. Is about managing those people. They don't care about it. I think that maybe they hope that we'll get driven nuts by how out of it and disconnected people around us are. But
yeah,
it's really just about managing them. And well, it was really cool to see some people, a lot more people say, no, no, was this going on the whole time? I mean, this is one of those things where at every opportunity, some people are going to shed away. Some people are going to have the scales fall from their eyes. I know it's not going to be all of them, and some are lost forever. But this is the real way that people get red pilled. You know, obviously, we can't just shut up and say nothing. I think the best thing that we can do is just mockery and talking to each other and keeping our spirits up and understanding what time of day it is. But these people have got to I don't know. The cold water's got to get splashed in their face by somebody other than us, because they will, out of spite, when it comes to us, out of spite, they will not look at what's right in front of their faces. Eventually, some will come around and say, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, I was drunk on something, but I'm here with you now," and I like that. That's happened more than a few times with me, and I mean, I guess that's really it.
yeah. No, I have a good friend, a really good friend, one of my oldest friends in the world. I'll never forget, like going into 2020, we had a big political discussion. We could not be on more opposite sides of everything. And he called me, I don't know, a couple months ago, and he was just like, "Bro, I owe you a huge apology. Like everything you said, I think is right now. Like I was so blind. Like it was such an interesting conversation because it was nothing I could say as a Trump supporter could resonate with him because it was all through the frame of Donald Trump but it was the Joe Biden administration watching things going one way and the media presenting him as another way, and just like him looking around and be like, none of this is real. Like that's not true. That's not true. This is like it was living through this after the Trump administration that made him like click like holy shit, like it's all
Yeah.
bullshit. It's all fake. It's all propaganda. It's all controlled. Like there's no independence in any of these information sources. And he started looking around and like Adel was right about a lot of this stuff. Like I said, the conversation was just so interesting. I'm wondering how many of those examples there are out there. Like that's just one person that I know personally. But I got to admit, I got to think that there's a huge number of people that have gone through the same thing where they couldn't see it when it was Donald Trump in the White House because they were so blinded by hate and fear of that man. But when he was gone and he wasn't there to scapegoat anymore, and their lives were getting worse and everything around them was getting worse, and the media is telling them it's getting better and trying to cover for this guy, like what you see and feel doesn't match with what you're being told. I think that's really powerful and something that, like you said, we could never reach him in that way. So
Yeah.
Joe Biden might be the best thing that ever happened to this republic, considering the trajectory we were on. Like he might have been the one thing we needed to just wake up a lot of these people that had no idea how bad things actually were, and force them to kind of look a bit more objectively at the environment.
Yeah, and I think in closing, Joe Biden represents one of many bad choices that are all that are left for the people that are just stringing us along and trying to cobble together the end of whatever kind of plan they have for us. I mean, obviously they want to do away with the institution of voting and checks and balances. They're fomenting invasion in both hemispheres of the earth. both at the southern border over here and in Europe across the Mediterranean and through, well, it doesn't, it's ridiculous. So I really think that at this point it's accelerationism, and along the way, because people things are getting so bad so quickly, there's a quickening going on there, that all the choices that are left are really knee jerk, obvious ones. There's no subtlety left to anything. Joe Biden was a joke from the beginning, and I think right now, with just all of the craziness and all of the real panic and chaos alone, you realize, is this really a group of people that commands a loyal voting block of 81 million? No. I mean, it's obvious. So that's just really it. I don't think that Joe Biden was had to be president because we needed to be woken up, and that was the plan. I think that the thing is that there's no good choices left for the controllers anymore, and it just happens that everything that they do does have blowback, and Joe Biden is blowback, as well as a 4-year pause from whatever the hell they are trying to avoid with a second term of Trump. So we'll see what happens, because they still have all the same tools in their war chest that they used 4 years ago. But I have to imagine that people are far more awake now, and and that's all I have for you today. Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for popping in, Frank. Appreciate it. What are you doing tonight for your show?
I'm going to get to the bottom of this Project 2025 thing tonight. I just wanted to see exactly what's in the platform compared to Agenda 47 with Trump, and why there's a disavowing going on there. And then we're going to have fun with it, because I found a couple of alternate Project 2025 lists where people are just listing all these petty demands that they want of society, like, I don't know, like bringing smoking sections back on planes and restaurants and all that other shit. So I'm going to open up the lines, and I want people to call in with all of their demands, what they want. Okay, and the more petty and ridiculous, the better. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Come and hang out with us 7 o'clock tonight at quitefrankly.tv, or on Rumble and Pilled, wherever the hell you want to watch. I'll see you at 7. And Adel, thank you so much again, my friend.
No, I love that. And actually, we never got to it. That was literally on my list, is Project 2025 versus Agenda 47. That's right there on my list of shit to talk about on the show today. We just didn't get to it. But
If you happen, I know that you like, after this show, you like to just chill out. But if you happen to peek in on the show tonight, on Quite
yeah,
Frankly, just text me or something. Say, hey, you can text me what you want on the agenda, and I'll just read it off a text or something. So,
all right, man. Well, hey, have a great show, and thanks for popping in, Frank. It's great to see you.
got it. See you later, guys.
There he goes. Frankie Val, the Quite Frankly Show. Find him quitefrankly.tv, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Zach Payne live right now. This went live 4 minutes ago over at Red Pill 78. You can find everything Red Pill 78 at redpill78news.com. My name is Adel Nero. My channel is 412 Productions. You can find me on pill.net, Rumble, DLive, CloudHub, Odyssey. I'm on Twitter at 412anon87. Or find me on True Social at 412. I'd love to earn your follow, any of those places. So please come and say hello. And read some gold pill chats, and that's going to do it for today. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time to wrap up the week with you guys. So definitely stop by tomorrow at 4 p.m. We'll go from 4 to 6. Boys Blog, thank you for the cookies. I spent all day cleaning up the live studio audience room. What did Pinata do when I was on vacation? I don't know. I don't know what he did back there. But it gets rowdy, I guess. Thank you for the cookies, Boys Blonde. Texas, Little Red, thank you for the shades. Judy the Lady Pug, thank you for the cookie. Let's see. P Quest, thank you for the cookie. A from PA says all has failed, so Obama invites Joe paddleboarding. Yeah, that's who knows, man. Who knows how they're gonna move on from sleepy Uncle Joe. We got CK Whitehorse 180. Thank you for the cookie. And no thanks, Joe says, thank you, gentlemen, awakeners. Thank you. No thanks, Joe. Guys, I appreciate the gold pills very much and all the support. Again, hit that red pill button, repost the show out there. And that is going to do it for today's broadcast. For Frankie Val of the Quite Frankly Show, Zach Payne of redpill78news.com. My name is Adel Nero, and this has been Taking It Back, a 412 production, syndicated by our good friends over on Badlands Media. Have an awesome rest of your Thursday, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.